what I did was I took and melted. I used melted. It was all on a grill thing. So anyway, it has been hot outside. Oh boy, I heard the neighbors across the way, they were having their families together. They have a pool and you can hear them in the pool, so that was nice. So, we will be talking today about. I have been watching documentaries. It's called Sex and. Hey, oh, well, hello, Mr. Bombay. Oh, I'm learning the sounds of my new cat, Mr. Bombay. Come here, baby. Let's show everybody my new black kitty. This is Mr. B, Mr. Bombay. Yeah, he's a warlock that he played fancy with a lot of people, and then suddenly, they turn him into a cat because he can't keep his wang dinker where it should, and then they go and fix him. Oh god. Anyway, we will be talking. It's called it's on Max. It's called Sex and Not Revenge. Shoot. Oh, this. Um, well, anyway, I've been watching this documentary about all these people who get in trouble about having sex out of marriage, sex out of relationship, sex. So what happened is this guy, he's a well-to-do lawyer. He is setting up an office and he can hire who he wants. And hi, how are you? Thank you for the thumbs up. Thank you. I am telling people we're talking about relationships, unhealthy relationships. I've been watching documentaries on Max, and I would say, I've been watching stuff where it's sex and of course, unaliving. I can't really say that. I don't want to get in trouble here. So it's sex and unaliving people. And what is going on is there's been one that really stood out. I have been told by my dad for reasons. He said, it's drama. You'll get caught up in it and you'll look like the fucking idiot. Stay away from married people. If they tell you this, I got married too soon in my life. I call them stair climbers. They'll always marry someone with, 20, 30 grand more than what the last person they've been with, whoever it is, and they'll just keep stair climbing. So a woman was doing stair climbing, is what I call it. She had been hired. Her name was Candy. That was her real name. And the guy was Edmund. The reason why I remember that is because the character in Back to the Future is named Edmund too. It's an unusual name. The wife was the one. She wanted to, he had hired this woman. And I said, oh, he hired her knowing that she came up. He hired her at a cocktail party. You never want to hire somebody at a cocktail party. I don't care how much they need the job coming Monday. I need you to talk to somebody. I need to see what they think about you. And if they don't think, that you need, whatever, hey, you're going to have to look somewhere else. So she got hired at a cocktail party, which says it all. And of course, he starts being at work more, and he has 5 children. The youngest, I think, at that time was 7 or 9 months. And what happened is a lot of people at work started talking about the affair. And she's saying to everyone what a horrible man this guy was, what a horrible this, he's done this, he's just horrible. All right. So, mind you, he's so horrible, she buys him all kinds of gifts and stuff for, the guy that she's not with, her husband. So, apparently, they go over to Walgreens, and her husband knew he was losing her, so he wanted her back. So what happened is they get in an altercation with a gun, and the one guy, the lover, the lawyer, he loses his life, and he gets her ex to be gets shot up. She was planning on marrying this lawyer guy who had 5 kids, or moving in with him, being his girlfriend, and leaving her husband. And I'm like, wow. So in that turn of events where the one lover dies, you know what she did? She went, and this is after her saying how much she loved this man. She turned on her lover while he was dead to save her own ass. Oh yeah, it was. It's an eye opener. Look it up on Max, man. It's sex and uh, um, unaliving. I can't say it on here, but you know what I'm talking about. Check it out, man. It's what I'm going to try to always avoid. No married, no one in a relationship. It just makes my life easier. My dad always just said, being with a married person, but I'm going to put in, I've had some crazy ones that were just in the relationship. They weren't married, they didn't share a bank account, they just went cuckoo for cocoa nuts. And I had one too many here in Pahrump that went cuckoo for cocoa nuts. They weren't even planning to get married. And by the way, if you're in a relationship and you are the woman and you want to felicitate the vows and ask them to marry, you better be the one making the money, because it just never works out where the woman who's broker than fuck shit damn and all hell end asking the man to marry her. It never works out. You have to be the one making the money. You have to be the one who's the head of the household. You're making 10 grand more, 20 grand more. You ask the man. Because if you ask the man and you're not the head of the household making that money, you're looking like an asshole. And I have yet to have, mainly people that I've known who asked, the significant other they made, the person asking made way less. And for some reason, it just never pulled out, because if you ask that person to marry them, you also pay all the marriage bills. Oh, fuck, I'm not asking anyone to marry me. I don't got that kind of money. Yeah. You're the person who asked that person. Oh, no, 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 no. It'll be 50-50 if anything. I don't want to be the only person. I want it to be, it shouldn't be on the man to just pay, but it should be on both parties. I'm going to be honest. Fuck the man just paying. It doesn't take one person to make a child, it takes two. So in anything, even if you don't have children in the marriage, you should have that. Yeah. So I seen that and I thought of many, many different, and that's not the first one I heard. My dad, who got into law, sat there and said, people who are going to screw you over, you always think it's going to be that person on the other end emailing you, asking you for money from whatever. Because people who are going to screw you over are going to be the people you know. It's going to be your brother, your sister, it's your neighbor, your friend. You name it. And he said, that's what I mostly see. And guess what? In murders, most of the time, the people know them. It's a rarity that they're, like the dating apps and stuff. Yeah, they don't really know them. But here's the thing, they've talked to them for like how long? They've had to talk to them over 24 hours. A little bit of time. You kind of know what you're. I didn't know what I was getting into. I was told, hey, yeah, I got, he put out his thing that he was, you know, um, you see, I figured out when men want to say that they're not having a job is that they work for themselves. That's another way people say that they're jobless. And usually that means they don't have a car because you have to pay for insurance. and a lot of other stuff. He told me just, it was like, you're, no, I don't need that. And he smelled just bad. And I was like, oh. Oh, thank you. Welcome. Chat down below and put a thumbs up. It helps with the algorithm. I'd really appreciate it. And we are talking about, tonight is about relationships. I've been watching on Max. It's called Sex and I can't say it. It starts with an M and ends with an R. And it was, to spell it in reverse would be red rum. Yeah. Sex and red rum. Just spell it out and put it to the mirror. So, I had the most interesting thing, and this is something that truly happened. These are true stories that happened. It was a guy who was a lawyer, and he had moved into a new house. He had just had like a child under the year old, 7 or 8 months old. He had 5 kids. He was starting a new practice, and he was hiring new people at a cocktail party. A woman named Candy. The name's all in itself. I worked with more than one Candy, and not a single one of them. Oh man, there was a veterinarian that was in a town I used to live in, and her name was Candy. Oh my lord. I would go there and be treated so horrible. But when I went with my ex, he was starting up a conversation with Candy and stuff. And man, I wish I could go there every week. Yeah, I know you do. Yeah, she had a real good practice, and like she said, she liked being single. So yeah, and she was real pretty. So well, anyway, um, Candy had used this simple thing that I have heard from other men. And do you know what I have told other men while, being in a relationship? Well, if you feel that way, go to the divorce lawyer, start your separation proceedings. Because then if you're screwing around, there's nothing worse. And I've been there, I've been on the other end finding out. So it's not nice. I now tell guys, at least become separated, you know, because it's just start your divorce proceedings. You got about, if you have dealing with, most of the time, if you have just dealing with financial and stuff, you figure that out quite quickly by who makes what and what gives to what, you know what I mean? So if there's no kids, it's pretty quick. Don't have anyone say if they live in the state of Nevada, it's going to take longer. For me, it's because I was waiting for someone to sign the divorce thing. So that's... Max has a really good thing called Sex and Red Rum. And it's more or less... it lets you realize that my dad was 100% right. And I even added on the fact of my dad being right that I should never mess with anyone who is married. I added, in a relationship, I've gotten people. So if you want to work on, spreading the love, spread the love by telling that significant other, I'm sorry you feel you've been in a tight relationship since high school and you feel that you want to experience other things. If you want to experience them, you'll have to go and get a divorce. Until then, it'll be primarily a very, I need the money, I'm working here, and I'll be respectful towards you. And hopefully they would understand. It sounds like both parties, Candy and the other guy, the lawyer, it takes 50-50. If he would have said, no, I really don't, I don't think that she's the type of person that would go and chase him. It had to be 50-50. If he would have just did the bare minimum at work, enough to keep things going so he could spend time with his family, it would have been a different thing. But he would go out and drive and meet her. and pick her up. So if he's doing that, then he doesn't want a relationship. In the first place, when he hired Candy, his idea was already get with her. They had talked and she had, put out the lay work. Then when she got in trouble, because guess who also had the gun? She had her fingerprints and everything on the gun. And I think that her, I think her husband shot the lawyer. She got a hold of it and shot him by accident. And then um, her, and then he got shot by accident. So it's like this big shooting thing, and they all had residue on their hands, so they couldn't charge just one person. It was all of them, and that makes you think, wow, yeah, he's almost done with his stuff, and he pretty much he got his testimony of his wife at that time. She didn't divorce him until way later because she needed help with the state, and she divorced him. Yeah, I can guarantee that's the reason why. She divorced him because she's probably waiting for him to get out so they can, reevaluate their money. I can guarantee that. So this guy has this woman tells him that her ex is so bad that when he dies, instead of her saying fuck you and doing her own thing and when everything's done, no, she's there waiting for him to come out. So when you're in that type of relationship where someone is telling you someone, unless you're seeing it happen where someone's beating someone up or someone's doing that, it's hard to. It really is. Because I had friends who were treated like the queen bee, and they were still saying, I wasn't treated as well as I wanted. And I go, God dang, you had a guy working for you. You didn't even have to get a job. You got a job because it was like, money to buy shoes and stuff. And your ex would say you would have more spending money. But for me, I had to have a job so I could put food on the table and make sure my kids had a place to live and heating and electricity, so we can have phones down the line and all the other stuff. So when you're dealing with people who I call it doesn't matter what the age. I've had people at the age of 50 telling my friends, my dad, when he was in his 50s and he was dating, and he would tell me all the things. I had a woman who wanted to live in my house, and I go, isn't that your second date, Dad? He goes, yeah, I think that she's got some problems. You didn't take her to the house? No, she don't know where we live. And I go, oh God, no, don't bring her over. She's, cut her off. Yeah, he's had women try to move into the house after the second or third date, and my dad's like, no. And usually, if you're that demanding or, wanting to live with someone, you just, like my dad said, she probably lost where she was living and putting back then you put an ad in a paper. And, she was like wanting more of a roommate than a date. And I don't know what happened. My dad was just like, don't answer the phone. And that's the way it went. But yeah, there's people out there who will say anything. Time is the one thing that really is the truth of that you'll find somebody how they're really thinking. If somebody, oh, my favorite is, you see, I call them charlatans, other people call them something different. People who pretend to be psychic and give psychic readings to people. And I used to go to a spiritualist church. That's where psychic people are primarily should be, but there were some really good charlatans out there. They would read body, they would go into, it's what they call a cold reading, where you look into it and you don't use a psychic, you use what FBI would use, how you watch a person and stuff. And a lot of times I'd get people coming to me and I go, nah, I don't think that's going to happen. I would tell everyone, why? I go, because, and I would tell him that he knew of a certain situation that no one else did. Oh yeah, my dad said I was always calling the fakers, and they really didn't like me. So after a while, there was 75% of the people that were there were not primary as psychic as they came off to be. And yeah, I pissed off some people, but hey, it is what it is. I looked at them. If you want to pretend to be normal, I mean, yeah, I'd get a lot of people who come. I need to come to you. I'm good, is what I used to say. I'm good. I'm good. But they would tell me anyway, and I would sit there and say something because they would want a reading from me. That's how they would do it. I'd be sitting there. Sometimes it's like my dad says she's on her period, so you gotta leave her alone. You know, when she's flowing, we all don't ask her questions. What's your psychic feeling? I don't give a fuck. Oh, it's that time of the month, huh? So let's enjoy. So I came on a little bit earlier. I know that John's a busy person and I don't expect him to come on here. It is a nice treat when I do get my Polish prince to come out here. He's got other things to do and he has to pay his bills as long as, you know, how that goes. And he does like to pay his bills and he enjoys his comfies like we all do. All right. So let's say a prayer for John, who's not here. It's already, 19 after, so it lets me know that if he's going to be late, he'll pop in and he'll say hi. But he's not relatively. My feeling is sometimes we get people here who needs to stay the fuck out of my room and out of chatting. They get connected to a certain person. They're not their lover at home, but they think that they can be. And apparently, they need to stay out of my room and stay out of my chat and quit making my people like John, the Polish prince, not feel like he wants to come here because that's the feeling I have. When you get people who act like complete assholes, I have a tendency, and it's like anything else. If anyone's going to be an asshole, they're usually from Europe. Yeah, or overseas. I get people who are from India who are just biggest dickheads ever. Oh, I had one guy in India who told me that he started talking with me how he loves my videos, and then he sent a video of his shtick. That's what we're going to go with, okay? And I have to go with my psychic feeling from now on. So when I get that woman from Holland, she is going to be blocked every time I see her. It's a 24-hour block. But if I keep having the same problem, I will contact YouTube and tell them that I really don't appreciate her coming in and acting drunk and making my other YouTubers feel scared. I don't care if you're a witch. I don't care if you're a goblin. I don't care if you came from the land of motherfucking Oz. When you come here, you gotta give respect. And I don't care if you get high as a kite. Just don't start chatting gibberish. Because you do that, you will be looked on and you don't exist. Oh my God. I had a friend who lost their mind. They had so much, how can I say, they were a roofer and they had fallen so many times off the roof. They just were scrambled eggs for brains. So anyway, to make a long story short, he told me that once he had gotten really bad and his family had to put him in a psychiatric ward for him to, his family did. You don't exist, he told his mom and dad. Oh God. So yeah, we heard a lot of stories, and that's when somebody starts saying that they are cuckoo for coconuts. Yeah, and I'm trying to talk about positivity and everyone sharing love, and somebody's coming into here who's jealous of my Polish prince, who is really good when he helps out here in a room. And he's a good friend and a good listener, so that's all it is. I've never seen him. We don't send naughty pictures. We just talk on here. That's it. If you guys don't like the truth and you want to make up a different story, if you have been talking to the guy that helps moderate here, keep it to yourself. And do not come in here drunk and talking gibberish, because you will be looked at. And after a while, I will find a way to talk to YouTube. And if I have to down the road, when I do have the money, I'll get a lawyer and have you permanently through your location and then what you have. I want you never to come on here. Just putting it out there. Your IP address. Yeah, that's what I want them to work on. And that's what they had. I had a woman on YouTube chat. They didn't know they could do this, and I'm telling YouTube, no, you can block her through her where she lives, their IP or her IP address, and they did. No one would lend her their computer, so she was pretty much off the Yahoo chat. And I'm sure by the time that, let's see, it was early 2000s, and I think by the time chat started changing, I had already moved to California, so it is what it is. I like to joke and stuff, and I know I have like put up my, actual address and phone number and taken that off and end up deleting it and whatnot. But there are people who have put up their addresses and stalkers who said, wow, you gave me a bone. Woo, I can really find out where you live. Yeah, there are certain relationships. So I'm telling people, check out Sex and Red Rum. Just think what Red Rum means in the movie. And it's really good. I watched one that had 4 people involved. A woman had told a prominent lawyer who had 5 kids. This is what I'm talking about. If a woman knows a man has 5 kids and she's only thinking about sex and trying to get away from her significant other, she's not thinking about you. Because the minute she gets in trouble and she's going to go to jail, she's going to snitch on you and leave you faster than anything. It's different if he's chasing her and she's going, no, you have 5 kids, I gotta quit. So she quits and he follows, like stalks her to another job. That's a different thing, but that never happened. He ended up, the lawyer guy ended up getting shot by her and her husband after they had shagged. They had had sex, and then they pretty much, both of them, she didn't mean to shoot him, but he, I'm sure, did. And then he got shot back too, and I'm sure a lot of stuff gone on because they all had powder residue on their hand. Do you know what happened when it came down to the end thing? Because she was alone, she came kissing that. She's sucking her ex's fart so much that you would think that he had a new perfume in his asshole. Really. And that's why my dad always said, do not fuck with married people. Don't fuck with them. Don't do nothing with them. Keep it business. And if it means you having to leave, then leave. Because like my dad used to say, it's easier. Because if they want to fuck up their life with somebody else, let them. But if they're going to, in most cases, these women that do that, it's like, it's a short-term thing because it's so quick. It's not like happening over a year's time. It's happening over a 3 to 4 month period. Like I said, if you're working with someone who's working on a timeline to keep it under a year, they'll try to move in after 3 months. Like my dad used to tell me 6 months. Unless you're pregnant and have a pregnancy that you need help, he said 6 months. And I agree with him. And if you are away from that person for any time and they want to have a test to make sure it's their kid, yeah, because I know where my private parts have been. Everyone else should. So when you have a relationship and suddenly somebody doesn't know where their pussy has been over the last month, then you're dealing with a woman who you're going to have a DNA test with. I would. My dad realized that my ex-stepmother lied when um, he went to the hospital and offered his blood, and the nurse goes, "You don't have the same blood type as your son. He's adopted, right?" And my dad's like, "Don't tell him." So he didn't find out until years later. I don't even think anyone ever told him, but no, that's not his kid. He's not his genetic. Yeah. And Eric, I don't know. What I do know is my dad was so certain that we had the same blood type, because when I went to put in for my blood type, my dad goes, "Your blood type is this." I go, "You know that?" He goes, "You got the same as me." And that's made me realize maybe he did DNA testing on all of us kids, and he realized one kid out of at least four were, oh, out of five kids, one would be his. So let's have some edibles, you know. We're going in and we got a half an hour left to go on our thing. So let's say a prayer for my people who are not here. All right. Yeah, there's some people who just don't get it. They need to leave, you know. We need to move on in our lives. And some people who come on here, they just don't get it. They need to get the fuck out of their road. Yeah, so, okay. I'm going to ask Mother God, Father God, Jesus, all angels that can help, all ancestors that can help. Please keep my moderator, both of them, the Polish prince, and the guy from Florida. So, please keep them safe. Please let no more fake psychics. This woman comes off as a fake psychic. So please keep fakery and lies away from them. And keep them safe from people who want to do them harm. Anyone who wants to talk behind my moderators' back, both of them, please let them have payment right away and they don't say anything bad behind their backs. Amen. I really do worry, because some people, and it's like, even though that you're not seeing my moderator's face, but they're able for now, I'm going to, trust me, I'll get things done. You're able to see what I write. You know, I can't do that right now. And that's fine with me. But it doesn't mean, and let me tell you this, just because my moderator is nice and I would say that he's being nice because he doesn't want you to be sad and say mean things and stuff, and he's very businesslike. But in the same notion, if you're a person who is pretending to be psychic and they read people well, I've met a lot of those before, and I put them in their place, and you're making somebody here feel uncomfortable, then you need to not come back. If somebody is not answering you back and they come in here and chat and they're a moderator somewhere, and you know that they are well thought of, you're going to go where you think that they are going to be at, and you are going to do that. The unfortunate thing is, if you're coming here and they're not there, if you're coming here and that person is not coming into the room, maybe you should seek out somebody else. Like I said, a new victim, but I really think some people need to seek more help than anything. They say that they're psychically inclined, and a lot of the people that they swindled money from, I had a woman who swindled $500 from me a long time ago, and it was like 3 or 4 years later, she calls up and she tells me all this crap. You know, I'm like, I think I was being evicted. So And it was like a long time ago. I wasn't even living in Michigan no more. And I said, so is it only reside in Michigan? She goes, yep. And I go, good. I'm good. All right. Well, you have a good day. And I hang up. I figured it's in Michigan. I just won't move back there. Yeah, the swindler said that my bad energies were all in Michigan, and I needed to spend $700 to disperse it. And they said, so it's only in Michigan, right? Yeah. Well, I hung up. I figured let it stay in Michigan. Maybe I'll connect with her or something. I thought it was hilarious. She was a swindler. She was put on the news. It was channel WDIV, Channel 4, had her on the news, and she was being evicted, the last I heard, because I actually looked it up. Because suddenly she was needing money. They decided, since the husband took the money, that they would extradite the husband, and then they found out, guess what? He was here illegally. So they were sending him off. Yeah. And they were what you would call kind of psychic. They could have done a lot better by being honest and making a whole lot more money. But they didn't want to work. They were lazy psychics. Like, scammer psychics. But not really too good. If you're going to call someone up and think that they're still living in Michigan and say that everything, well, I need to clean this up. The evil will last a good, 5, 6 years. She said, I'm thinking, oh, I'm not coming back then. Okay. Well, I hung up. I figure, I'll be away from there from that long. And I didn't tell her where I was. I just hung up. Figure, fuck it. Never called back again. So we're talking about relationships. I've been watching a documentary called Sex and Red Rum. I'm not using, you figure out what that is. I don't want to get in trouble. And it talks about horrible relationships that just get fucked up. Some of them, like the one that really resides with me, is the lawyer who gets a woman who claims that her husband's beating her or treating her badly. But the reality of the thing, Candy lied to the husband who was a lawyer guy because he made a lot more money than her husband, and he was a good looking guy. There's no reason why I wouldn't think that they wouldn't smash, but they were both married people. So if you're in a relationship and somebody comes up to you and says, I've been working with you the past couple months, I've enjoyed it, and you would say, I enjoyed it too, but I really like being with my husband. You told me to work late and I'd make a certain amount of money. I'm really happy, but I'm in a relationship. I'm not going to go out of that. If you feel the incline that it's bothering you, then I will quit. And that's the way I'd be. I mean, yeah, I'd miss the money, but it is what it is. You got to put yourself in perspective. I'm not a stair climber. I have done a lot of stuff by myself. It would have been nice to get a little help here and there, but I didn't get any help from any guy, you know. I paid off bills. I've done a lot of other things. So, yeah. And in this thing, called Sex and Red Rum, it's really well put together. But I tell people, do not fuck with married people or people in a serious relationship. It seems like they're getting ready to get engaged. Engaged, married, in a relationship that's serious. No. I always consider that if they have children, it's a serious relationship, because if it isn't, then wow, you're really stupid yourself. Don't get in a married relationship. Don't give a fuck what he says. It's just much easier. And I have found out since I've been more to the point, I don't know if you're married. I've had guys call me nasty names. You know, I was talking to him about, in November, I was talking with a guy, and he had said he wanted to meet up. I go, you know, I want to go out to eat. I want to do this. Well, I only have time for patty cake. And I said, well, I want to have a relationship. You need to contact someone else. Well, I want you to know. I think that if you want to meet somewhere, this is where you can meet. And he said, no, and we never met. And he, about a month later in December, he told me to go fuck off and die, pretty much. I never even seen him. I just put out what I expected. I know, because I'm doing a lot to help my life be better, and I am making myself better. I expect better. I expect, you know, things to set in motion. So, what I've learned from Max, what I've learned from the documentary Sex and Red Rum, don't fuck with another married person. And if you're on that receiving end where you happen to hire somebody, and do not, and I'm going to be honest, if you hire someone at a cocktail party, you better call them up now and say, you know what, I need you to have looked over by a, you know, whatever. Have someone else look at it as a situation. You need somebody who's not going to be a man, who's going to be the opposite sex, who would go, come on, you want to fuck her? Because you're hiring someone named Candy, who, after she pretty much killed the guy and got away with it, she went and hung out and still lived with her ex. Or did she? No, he moved out, but she stayed in his house. She just, you know, I'm guessing she didn't divorce him right away. So, yeah. I think that what happened was you had somebody, and this has happened, and my dad told me many times, those men or women who go, oh, well, I'm married too young, and I just cut it down, go, look, you either can get a divorce, or, because I don't deal with separation. Separation means they could still get together. And if they're living in the same house, there's been more and more people realizing they just didn't have the money to move out, and they're trying to get their finances set. So, yeah, you know. So if you're in Nevada getting divorced and you don't have like a whole lot of paper tape and a whole lot of other stuff to deal with, your kids are grown, even if it's financial, still, a lot of people have their finances go from week to week, from paycheck to paycheck. In most cases, they want to figure out who owns the credit card bills, those type of things. That's what they're trying to divvy up. So here we are. We have 17 minutes. So yeah, let me get some more weed and let's talk. So what would I suggest? If someone comes up to you and tells you a story that they're not getting along, and I had a ex co-worker, he would tell me that. Like insinuate, hey, you want to go out with me? And I go, well, that's nice when you get back with her, because you always do. And I'm not getting in the middle, and I think she's beautiful and you're beautiful, so get out. Yeah, that's what I would say. I would say, and I would say what I actually felt psychically. You're going to get back with her. You're just bitching and bitching a fit. Okay, so she did this, that, and whatnot. Psh. And that's what I would do. If somebody does it and they've done it to me, I have not gone on and got the bait and said, yeah, you know, come over my place, we can shag. No. Mm-mm. I never did that. I would say, well, you're going to get back with her. And I would. I'd say, oh, no. I think both of them are not perfect. And I would say that to them. So, you know, I know better. And I've been presented with men who would, and many times throughout my lifetime, I don't know how many times a man would say to me, yeah, I got married young. Yeah, so did I. And then my ex, he screwed everything in the neighborhood. So, you know, move on. Oh, I do. I am so lucky that the friends that are guys, they are just friends. It makes it easier at work. I know they're all my guy friends. That's where it starts and ends, and that's where that is. It made it so much easier because if you work with somebody and you have a relationship, god dang, you know there's going to be one day you're going to be pissed. It's going to be that weekend, you know, let's say it's Labor Day, you guys both do something stupid and you say something, you guys are mad. Matter what, try to hug it before going to bed because you work together. That's what I'm talking about. Because then when you work with that person and you're pissed off at them, oh shit. Whew. My one manager, he always plays country music. You know, I don't know. I try not to get into people's lives. But, you know, sometimes when you're next to them, I can smell what they're sweating. And I do not, there's like, I can actually smell people sweat. I went to the grocery store and there was this couple. They must have washed their clothes and left it where it gets like that smell from not drying it and just that sour. I'm leaving my laundry undried in the washer and it has that sour smell and they smell like that and it just grosses me out. I was like, oh, trying to avoid them. It's like they didn't smell, but their clothing smelled horrible. So, yeah. So, I like to talk to people and tell them about relationships. Stay away from married people. If they say they got married super young, tell them either if you didn't say, well, that's nice, you know, there's marriage therapists. I do not plan to be on TV on any HBO special down the road. So, I've explained that too. And this one was like a lot of people lost out on a father, even if the husband and wife got divorced and he married Candy for 4 years. That relationship, that mom and dad will never get back together because of one woman who goes, "Hi, I'm Candy. Oh, I just don't like being married. Oh, I got married super young, and I know you got 5 kids, and then you got a beautiful wife, but I just feel," and she makes up stories, and that's another sociopath thing that they do. They make the story like a whole lot bigger, and then anyone that if you're working with a sociopath, you will know this. After a while, people don't like working with them, and then after a long while, they don't have relationships. They are uh, psychopaths and sociopaths are the things that you see in what psychopaths mainly for the FBI. But boy, oh boy, I've had guys tell me about, you know, their sexual relationship to the point where it made me feel uneasy. And I have told them as steadfast, if I can do it back when I was in my 30s, then you guys can do it. And I'm just like saying to people, I have met a lot of fake psychics who would literally watch what you do. I had one guy who creeped out my dad and my whole family. He tried to invite himself. So my dad said, you know, stuff, this guy's really making us uneasy. And you got a week before you leave for California. So this is what I want you to do. My dad was telling me on the phone upstairs. Now, mind you, I knew the sheriff of Holly. I hung out with his daughter and spent the night many times over there. He goes, I want you to pack up your bag. All right. I'm going to call the sheriff, tell him you're headed over your house. I just don't feel that you're safe tonight. Do you know what happened? Years and years, we've had our next door neighbors. They've watched our house for us, so we had them do that. And later on in the night, someone broke into our house and went into where my bedroom would be, and just broke in, and they thought it was the you know my I wouldn't say stalker, just someone who didn't seem right and they couldn't prove who it was because they had it was the 80s. So for a while, I was afraid to go home. And then afterwards, the guy just, I heard that he ended up in prison or something like that. I don't know, just gone. I never heard him say nothing, and my dad wouldn't talk about it. So, but yeah, that was really weird. Go over so and so's house. Really? Okay. So I drove my bike there. No one thought the same. I locked the door. My dad was going to be home later that night. My brother was gone. I'd be home alone. All alone. Yeah. My dad said, nah, there was just too much creeping going around. So yeah. That was weird. And it was just like, it looked like someone threw a big stone in there, walked in, walked around, and left. Nothing was taken. It really, people thought at first maybe I was locked out, and I tried to go back home. I go, why would I go back home when I'm sitting here? There's food here, my friends are here, we're having all kinds of fun. Why am I going to go home for what? And yeah. So, yeah. Sometimes we all have that feeling, like when you're talking with someone and you feel that little pitter patter and you guys are both married, you need to step out and realize that she might, she might end up stabbing you in the back or shooting you. You don't know what you're going to be getting. You don't know if you're getting a woman who really is stuck in a relationship or just wants a bigger paycheck and the sex is good. And yeah, you know, I think that it is wrong. And, you know, I hate to say this, but the lawyer did ask it upon himself. He did bring it. He could have went the 50% route and said, hey, I'm going to have to fire you. You're making people feel uncomfortable, including myself. I don't know what, state it was in. I know it's a green state, so it might be harder to fire that person, but if it would save my marriage, oh, I wouldn't look at their story and believe it. I believe that this woman in the story from Sex and Red Rum is because if he would have at least said, look, financially you're doing fine, I will let you go. I think that you need to go seek marriage counseling. Get it on tape. Have it. If you're a lawyer, you can have, and they do have them out there where it says when you talk to your lawyer, it will be audio taped. I would audio taped all my conversations with this person and prove the fact that no, I'm not lying and no, I'm not looking for sex elsewhere. Some people get pissed. I had that happen. I am not attracted to females. So, being that I had driven a coworker home who was a female who smelled really bad. I don't know what kind of drug she all was doing, but it wasn't cocaine. It was something else, and it really. People don't realize when you do a lot of drugs, it comes through your pores, and when you do weed, you smell a little weedy. You do, even if you don't work in it. It's the same thing. If you're doing really bad drugs, when it comes out of your pores, it doesn't matter what the only way that I have thought is taking lots of showers. But she had she was not a man, she was a woman, and she was a person who I did not care to associate with because I thought of her as a big sociopath. Someone who just uses you, runs you over, and uses you again, and that is the only, she is a repeat offender forever. She's not going to learn it. She's not learning nothing really except teaching a lot of lessons to other people. I've learned to really, okay, I'm sorry. So when you get people who are like that, after 3 or 4 months, if you're not, sociopaths hates when you say no. If you go, look, I can't do that, but we can do this. And also, if you're a person thinking of asking your significant other if you're getting married, if you're not the breadwinner, shut the fuck up. It never works out. I do not know why. I have never seen a woman who made more than the guy. It's always the woman who's broke as shit thinking, God, I gotta move in with him because I can make it with him, and then I could screw all his friends and maybe then some. Don't be stupid. If somebody is not making as much money, if let me state this. If you're making close to equal amount, I think that it should be on equal, like, if you want to ask him or whatever. But if you're making the most, I think that that person should be the one asking them. Yeah. So I had a coworker ask another coworker, and it did not work out. That coworker was getting. What would you ask someone to ride when you live a quarter of a mile away and it's a beautiful day? We're not talking beautiful, it's perfect. It was 75 degrees and no wind. The sun was shining. God damn, it was beautiful. You wear a light jacket and you're good. But she had asked a ride from a male person who borrowed money and borrowed against themselves. Like I told him, I go, I've got the money. Don't be asking me. So, if you're in a position where you are asked by a coworker and you both are coworkers of the same caliber, that means he's not a manager and you're not a manager, and you are in a relationship, you're not married, but you have a couple kids by that person. You love that person. You wake up to them and you think of just they're great and wonderful. But one day you go to work and you meet somebody, you think that they're wow. You spend about a month or so and they're bringing cookies, they're bringing in food, they're trying to feed everyone, they're trying to be nice. And then after 3 months, you have a whirlwind romance, knowing she knew for a fact that she had a warrant. This is somebody who said, trust me, a warrant under her arrest for stabbing somebody. Oh, yeah, that's, you, no. Just like when the guy didn't tell me about his ankle bracelet, I too left that situation. Of course, prayed all the way home. So anytime you're in a situation and somebody comes up and they start and I guess it's like they'll touch you a lot, you know, and you say, and if he asks you out, you know he's in a relationship, he's not married, but you know his wife loves him. You know it. And you know she'll never leave him. Don't even have the relationship. It's not even worth it. I have never had a relationship knowingly. Now, I went on dating apps. I would date guys, and that's when I came to a realization, including about a while ago when I went to Las Vegas, and here I go, and a guy had a leg bracelet, no car, and lived in an efficiency apartment. Now, mind you, he told me he lived in a good size apartment, lie one. He had a car, lie two. And lie three was that he had a job. When you got those lies going, you already hit the 3 mark, and there's no way I'm going to turn back because you're a complete lying asshole. I'd probably come home and he's doing some other person. I really don't care to be in that kind of relationship or put myself there, so I left and I ended up leaving my favorite glasses, but I bought them again. So, like I said, if you're in a position and you do like somebody, but you don't want to hurt their feelings, I got news for you. If they are chasing you and you feel uncomfortable because you love the person you're with, you will have to tell somebody, how do you not have to deal with them? You're going to have to make it where they don't see you, talk to you, or nothing. Because if they're chasing you that much and they're going online and they're doing that, that's not a good point. That's not good at all. They're not mentally stable. Well, we're almost done, so it's almost an hour. I'll be on tomorrow. I'm trying to figure out what time. The reason why I went on earlier is because I wanted to avoid the woman from Holland who ended up making my room feel very not good vibes, and I'm hoping that she doesn't come back. But if she does, there's nothing I can do. All right, thank you. Keep a prayer in your pocket and love in your heart. Omega out. See you tomorrow at, I would say, Satan time.